My husband took me to buy a car. The beautiful saleswoman ignored me but kept introducing cars to my husband. My husband turned around and asked me, "What do you think of this car?" I shook my head and said the headlights of this car were too ugly. Unexpectedly, the beautiful saleswoman chuckled and said, "Sir, you should make the decision on buying a car. After all, women don't understand cars and only consider the appearance instead of the cost performance." My husband said, "I bought this car for my wife. The most important thing is that she likes it." Chapter 1. On my birthday, Ethan decided to buy me a car. After all, my father had promoted him to his current position after so many years of marriage. Last month, his mother was ill, and I helped her to have surgery through connections in the hospital. To thank me, he promised me to celebrate my birthday in a grand way. I asked him to drive my Maybach to the 4S store. As soon as we got off the car, a beautiful female salesperson came up and warmly invited us in. To be precise, she warmly invited Ethan in. "Sir, are you using the car for business or self-driving? The store has a newly released global limited edition car." The beautiful salesperson took Ethan to a huge black sedan and introduced its performance. I was left behind the two of them and stood there alone. That car is really not cheap. I saw it at a foreign auto show a few days ago. It costs more than $2 million US. If this order is successful, the beautiful salesperson will get hundreds of thousands of commissions. Just as I was thinking, Ethan suddenly turned around and asked me, "Wife, what do you think?" The beautiful saleswoman also stopped and looked me up and down. I said lightly, "The headlights are too ugly, I don't like them." Unexpectedly, the saleswoman sneered with a little disdain and said to my husband, "Sir, buying a car is such a big thing that it should be decided by men. Ladies only have their eyes on the appearance and don't understand cars, let alone consider the cost performance." I couldn't help but raise my eyebrows when I heard her, and then I looked at her straight in the eye. The beautiful saleswoman shook her head helplessly and continued to tell Ethan how good this car was. Ethan interrupted her directly, "If my wife doesn't like it, there is no need to introduce it. This car is bought for her, and her liking is the most important thing." The beautiful saleswoman paused when she heard the words, withdrew her hand with a bad look on her face, and smiled awkwardly. "In that case, then I will introduce you to other models." Ethan glanced at me. "No need to introduce it to me, just introduce it to my wife." The beautiful saleswoman then reluctantly walked to my side and took me to see the cars in the store one by one, but her attitude was not so enthusiastic. I walked to a red Phantom and asked, "How much is this one?" The beautiful saleswoman was busy playing with her phone and didn't answer. I called her again, and she slowly raised her head, glanced at the car I pointed at, and said half-heartedly, "Beautiful lady, I advise you not to choose this one, it's unlucky." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "This car is bought by older bosses with their mistresses. After all, it looks good but is not practical." Ethan watched me walk out of the store quickly, put out his cigarette and asked in confusion, "Did you choose so quickly?" Before I opened my mouth, the saleswoman behind me took the lead and said to my husband, "Sir, I'm sorry, the lady just picked a car, and I didn't want you to step into a trap, so I told her about some of the low cost effectiveness of the car. Maybe I was too straightforward and made the lady unhappy." Chapter 2. I sneered, "Price-performance ratio? Where did you introduce the price-performance ratio content? Do you need me to ask the store manager to adjust the store surveillance?" The beautiful saleswoman's pupils shrank slightly, and she apologized pitifully. I'm sorry, I don't know where I said something wrong to make you angry, I apologize to you." Seeing this, Ethan began to smooth things over. "Wife, she may not mean to offend, so don't embarrass a girl." I glared at Ethan fiercely, with unspeakable anger in my heart. "Embarrass? Are you distressed?" Ethan sighed helplessly. "What are you thinking about?" Originally, I didn't want to argue with a salesperson who had no eyes. But if I didn't watch the surveillance today, Ethan would really think I was making trouble. I turned around and walked back to the store. "Don't talk nonsense, adjust the surveillance." At my insistence, the manager finally adjusted the surveillance video just now. Unfortunately, the voice was not very real. I could only see that the female saleswoman was playing with her mobile phone all the way, and she didn't introduce any cars to me. The manager apologized to me for her attitude. Ethan had nothing to say. After we returned home, he was puzzled and said, "The girl was very positive when she introduced it to me. How could it turn out like that? Men, they can't even figure this out." I rolled my eyes at him and went back to my room. The next afternoon, after I had my beauty treatment, I saw a red Phantom parked downstairs of the beauty salon. It was the one I had my eyes on yesterday. Ethan came out of the car and said with a smile, "Honey, surprise." He walked forward with a bouquet of roses, and I couldn't help but smile a little. "I called you but you didn't answer. It turned out that you went to pick up the car." He handed the car keys to me. "Of course, honey, don't be angry anymore, okay?" I snorted softly. "You've passed this time." I have to say that Ethan is still as considerate as ever. I'm really easy to be coaxed by him. In the evening, we made up for yesterday's candlelight dinner together. At the dinner table, Ethan said, "Honey, Vanessa asked me to apologize to you on her behalf." I paused. "Vanessa, who is that?" Unexpectedly, Ethan said, "The salesperson at the 4S store yesterday. When I went to pick up the car today, she was very sorry, and the manager also fined her 1 month's salary, so don't be angry." I clenched the fork in my hand. Okay, it turned out that she was the one who received me when I picked up the car, and she also told Ethan her name. I put down the fork with a crisp dong sound, and laughed. "What's a fine of 1 month's salary? The commission from selling this car is enough for her to make hundreds of thousands." Ethan shook his head and sighed gently. "I really don't know why you are so malicious to her. Don't you always support these working women?" "Forget it. I encourage and support all independent women who work hard in the workplace, but it doesn't mean that I will tolerate inexplicable malice." Seeing that I was a little angry again, Ethan quickly shut up and changed the subject to pick up food for me. Chapter 3. "Wow, Tina, your new car is so cool. It's so face-saving to pick me up from get off work." My best friend Mia sat in the passenger seat. She is a teacher at a special education school. She finally had time to go shopping with me in her busy schedule. I smiled softly. "It's okay. After all, Ethan bought it for me." Mia snorted. "Humph, it's still your family's money. His biggest obligation as a son-in-law is to make you happy." I drove her all the way to the commercial street. Unexpectedly, when passing the traffic light intersection, the brakes of the car suddenly failed and it suddenly sped up. Mia in the back seat was horrified. She was about to hit the speeding car on the opposite side. Fortunately, I was quick-eyed and quick-handed, and I turned the steering wheel to avoid it. However, the car hit the flower bed on the side of the road and cracked the bumper. "Oh my God, your skills shouldn't be." Mia was still in shock. I stared at the steering wheel for a while and said calmly, "It's the car's problem. This car has been moved." I asked someone to tow the car back to the 4S shop, and the traffic police who handled the accident accompanied us. After I pointed out that the car's brake failure caused me to almost have a car accident, the manager was scared and hurriedly called Vanessa. Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Madam, this is a new car, how could there be a problem? Female drivers are not good at driving, so it is inevitable that there will be some improper operations. The accident cannot be entirely blamed on the car." The manager and the traffic police both thought it made sense. Mia sneered. "Hey, when our Tina drove an off-road vehicle alone across the plateau and uninhabited areas, you were still playing in the mud. Why are you questioning other people's skills? What's wrong with female drivers? 80% of accidents are caused by male drivers." At this time, Ethan hurried over and was relieved to see that I was fine. Mia stamped her feet. "Ethan, why didn't you come after dark? Look at the broken car you bought. It almost killed your wife. Is there anything wrong with the car?" Ethan frowned. Vanessa seemed to have found a life-saving straw. "Mr. Ethan, please explain to your wife. You clearly test drove the car when you came to pick it up that day, and there was nothing wrong with the car. The road on the commercial street is complicated. Don't worry about whether your wife made a mistake in operation. Isn't it enough to keep people safe? There is no need to embarrass me, a worker, because of the previous unpleasantness." Ethan also thought this was the truth and advised me, "Yes, my wife, as long as you are fine." Obviously, Vanessa's few words made Ethan subconsciously think that the accident was caused by my mistake in operation, and he wanted to find fault with Vanessa for this matter. I called my friends from the motorcycle club to come over and check the car in public. Ethan thought I was being unreasonable. "Honey, stop it. I have a meeting this afternoon." Vanessa also chimed in, "Yes, our time is not valuable. It's okay for you to delay it. Mr. Ethan is the CEO of Hingyun. I don't know how much money he will lose if he delays for an afternoon." Vanessa even knew about Hingyun. I really underestimated her, but she thought too highly of Ethan. He was an acting president without real power. The company would run the same with or without him. Friends from the racing club came soon. He opened the hood of the car, checked it inside and said, "The brakes were damaged by human beings. The cracks are very new, as if they were just damaged a few days ago." Everyone present was shocked. The manager was the first to distance himself from the matter. "Vanessa is responsible for connecting this series of cars. I have never touched it." I looked up at Vanessa. Vanessa was furious. "Why are you wrongly accusing me?" I shrugged and said deliberately, "In order not to wrongly accuse you, how about I ask someone to check the fingerprints left inside?" Unexpectedly, Vanessa panicked and spoke first. "Forget it, no matter who did it, since the car was sold through my hands, I will take the responsibility." After saying that, he suddenly pulled off his work badge from around his neck and turned around gracefully. Vanessa was fired. On the way back, Ethan said to me for the first time with a stern face, "Wife, no matter how much you dislike that girl, you shouldn't set up such a vicious trap to frame her." "Vicious? Do you think I almost killed myself to make her go away?" Ethan was also very conflicted, but he just felt that Vanessa had suffered an undeserved disaster and she was very pitiful. Unexpectedly, I saw Vanessa again in the special education school where my best friend worked. The brother-in-law with cerebral palsy hid in the arms of his mother-in-law and didn't want to get out of the car no matter what. Just when everyone was at a loss, a girl in a cotton and linen long skirt ran out of the school. "Here's the little flower, come with your sister, okay?" The familiar voice made me look at her. I saw Vanessa kindly guiding my brother-in-law to get out of the car and hugging him, who was taller than her. My mother-in-law smiled with relief and said, "Ryan still listens to teacher Vanessa the most." It turned out that Vanessa was a new teacher at the special education school, and the only thing that my brother-in-law with cerebral palsy, who never liked to go to school, stayed here. Teacher Vanessa is kind and patient. She helps Ryan pee with her own hands without any disdain. There are not many good women like this, the mother-in-law said with a hint of meaning. I know she is implying that I dislike my brother-in-law's bedwetting, but my brother-in-law is already 28 or 29 years old. Can I still help him pee? Vanessa heard it and made a surprised expression on her face. Doesn't the sister-in-law take care of Ryan when he pees at home? Then she sighed heavily. It is said that the sister-in-law is like a mother, and the brother-in-law is a son. As a sister-in-law, you should love your brother-in-law as a son. This hit the spot my mother-in-law wanted, and she took Vanessa's hand and started chatting intimately. Just like last time at the 4S store, she left me alone behind. They are indeed a mother and son. Vanessa turned her head and looked at me provocatively. I called Mia and asked, "What are you thinking? You recruited Vanessa from the 4S shop into the school. You won't be deceived, right?" Mia seemed to have just woken up. Recruiting people? Except for a few days ago when your husband said that he would arrange a nanny to take care of your brother-in-law in the school, we haven't recruited anyone. After that, we were both stunned. Is it Ethan? They said in unison. I suddenly felt a nameless anger in my heart. It turned out that Ethan's guilt and heartache for Vanessa were not fake. He secretly found a job for Vanessa without telling me, and he used my connections. No wonder Vanessa was so arrogant just now. It turned out that my husband gave her the confidence. I went upstairs and came to the door of the classroom. I was caught off guard and heard the mother-in-law inside say to Vanessa, "Oh, it would be great if you were my daughter-in-law." I pushed the door open and Vanessa looked back at me, her lips curled up. It was as if she had already become Ethan's wife. I smiled back. When I took my mother-in-law away, I told Vanessa, "Take good care of my uncle." Vanessa raised her chin. "That's only natural." I got in the car and asked my mother-in-law with a smile, "Is this the daughter-in-law you found for Ryan? With such good conditions, I'm afraid she won't want to marry Ryan." But my mother-in-law said, "My Ryan is just not smart, but he is as tall, handsome and likable as his brother. What else can she, a teacher at a school for the disabled, choose?" My mother-in-law asked me again, "What are you laughing at?" I shook my head. I didn't tell her that I just laughed at Vanessa's naivety. She thought she could take my place, but she didn't expect that her mother-in-law was planning to make her suffer from cerebral palsy. This daughter-in-law is not that daughter-in-law. Chapter 4. Mia gave me the permission to watch the school surveillance. After returning home, I turned on the surveillance in my brother-in-law's classroom. My brother-in-law adopted a one-on-one teaching method, and only needed to learn some life skills, such as washing his face and brushing his teeth. In the picture, my brother-in-law was asking Vanessa for a hug. "Vanessa, hug." Although Vanessa looked disgusted, she still hugged the tall brother-in-law, stroking his hair and said, "You have to call me sister-in-law in front of outsiders in the future, understand?" My brother-in-law asked in confusion, "But I have a sister-in-law, and you are obviously not my sister-in-law." Vanessa immediately showed an unhappy look and taught him, "Ryan, don't you want to live with me in the future? Just call me if you want." My brother-in-law pouted, "Then I call you sister-in-law, and you give me milk, okay?" The next second, I gasped in shock. I saw Vanessa unbuttoning her cotton and linen top and breastfeeding my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law drank milk just like a child. After recording the screen, I quickly turned off the eye-catching surveillance video. I felt that I couldn't eat tonight. My mother-in-law often went to school to see my brother-in-law. Every time she came back, she would scold Vanessa. Ryan had a runny nose today, and teacher Vanessa wiped his nose without saying a word. This is really loving Ryan. Ryan wet the bed yesterday, and teacher Vanessa washed the sheets by hand. Look how capable teacher Vanessa is. Ryan likes teacher Vanessa so much that he doesn't want to let him go home. He even sleeps with teacher Vanessa at night. I know that my mother-in-law is criticizing me, the sister-in-law, for not being close to my brother-in-law, so I smiled and said, "That's great. Since teacher Vanessa loves my uncle so much, she will definitely be willing to marry and serve him. You can go back to the countryside without worry." My mother-in-law was persuaded by me and prepared to invite Vanessa to dinner at home on the weekend. Vanessa was overjoyed when she received the call from her mother-in-law. She walked around excitedly in the monitoring. I heard her say to herself in the mirror, "It won't be long before you are the wife of a rich man." On the weekend, when I came back from playing cards, Vanessa was already sitting on the sofa in the villa. The table was full of dishes. I had to wait for my return before we could officially start eating. I saw Vanessa helping my mother-in-law to sit in the main seat, and she blamed me. Sister, you are really a fool. As a daughter-in-law, how can you let the whole family wait for you to eat? Even if you are a rich lady, you have to respect the elderly. I stood beside the main seat with my arms crossed and listened to her, then gently said to my mother-in-law, this seat is not for you, Mom. Vanessa frowned. Sister, how can you talk to the elderly? If the main seat is not for the elders, who should sit? My mother-in-law hurriedly stood up to make room for me, and said, hey, Tina, sit down quickly. I didn't see that Vanessa pushed me on the chair just now. Don't blame me. Chapter 5. I sat in my main seat very naturally, looking at Vanessa who was shocked, and greeted her warmly. Teacher Vanessa, please sit down quickly, don't be so polite. You. How can you sit in that position? Vanessa looked at me in disbelief. I took the lead in picking up a piece of fish and eating it. This is my home, I am the head of the family, of course I have to sit in the main seat. Mother-in-law obviously didn't want to tell outsiders that her son was actually a son-in-law, so she quickly changed the subject and asked Vanessa to sit down and ask questions. After the meal, Vanessa rushed to wash the dishes. Mother-in-law praised, Vanessa is really hardworking, whoever marries you is really blessed. And I sat on the sofa, eating fruit while watching her hard work. The better she performed, the more satisfied the mother-in-law was with her as the second daughter-in-law. At this time, Ethan came back from overtime and saw Vanessa washing dishes in the kitchen. He walked up to me and blamed me, wife, don't we have an aunt at home? How can you let the guests wash dishes? Vanessa finally saw the person she wanted to see, and her eyes lit up. Mr. Ethan is back, don't blame me, I did it myself. As she said, she bent down and got slippers for Ethan. I chuckled, you heard it. Ethan pulled me into the house. Wife, Vanessa finally found a new job, can you let her go? I looked at him in confusion, as if I heard a big joke. How difficult is it? Didn't you arrange it? You used my connections and asked my best friend to pay her a salary. Do you think I don't know? Ethan was speechless for a moment. I didn't expect me to know so quickly. He sighed, wife, I just feel sorry for Vanessa. She did nothing wrong. She shouldn't be the victim of a rich man like you. Do you know that you can destroy a commoner's years of hard work with just a flick of your finger? You don't know that at all. Ethan is a golden phoenix that flew out of a grass nest. He has always been able to empathize with those people from grassroots backgrounds. I almost laughed at his moral kidnapping. Yes, she almost killed me, but I ruined her dream that she had worked hard for so many years. Since you feel so sorry for her, let me tell you a good news. Your mother has chosen her to be your sister-in-law. I said slowly. Ethan was slightly shocked. I took out the previous surveillance video and handed it to him. Look, how much they love each other. If Miss Vanessa doesn't like her uncle, can she let him do this? The eye-catching scene on the screen shocked Ethan. He originally thought Vanessa was an upright and stubborn girl, and he admired her very much, but now he can no longer look Vanessa in the face. After coming out of the room, the mother-in-law was intimately chatting with Vanessa. The mother-in-law said to her husband, it's raining outside, Ethan, go and see Vanessa off. Vanessa's face suddenly became like a ripe apple, probably thinking that the mother-in-law was deliberately creating opportunities for them. But I stepped forward, I'd better go and see her off. Ethan has worked all morning and hasn't eaten yet. After getting in the car, Vanessa in the rearview mirror was staring at me with resentment. Suddenly, she smiled. This is the first time I've seen such a spoiled daughter-in-law like my sister, who is so strong at home that she suppresses her mother-in-law. I blinked. Why, are you envious? Vanessa said proudly, I don't have to be envious. Sister doesn't know yet, just now my aunt held my hand and said she wanted me to marry in. I curved my lips and said, then I will have to call you madam from now on. Chapter 6. I finally had a few days of peace. When Ethan and I attended a charity reception together, Mia rushed over and grabbed Ethan's collar. Ethan, can you get your relative Vanessa away? She is almost making our special education school unable to operate. I hurried forward to comfort Mia. Mia, what happened? Tell me slowly. I saw Mia open a video software. The blogger ID is called Gentle Treatment, and the avatar is exactly Vanessa's photo. Her identity certification is an Angel Association volunteer, and the videos she posted are all about her doing charity. She currently has tens of thousands of fans. Ethan was puzzled. Isn't this good? Vanessa has always been kind. What's the problem? What a bullshit. Mia opened a few videos, all shot in the special education school. The deaf-mute child in the video wanted to eat a candy, but the child care teacher not only refused to give it to him, but also made the child stand in the corner as punishment. The next second, as the climax of the music sounded, Vanessa, who was like an angel in a white cotton and linen skirt, appeared, gently wiped the child's tears and helped him take the candy off the top of the cabinet. The child finally smiled sweetly. Caption, every child has the right to enjoy happiness. Several videos are the same routine. First, filmed the miserable, daily life of children in special education schools, either being scolded by teachers or hiding in the corner crying. Then the camera turned, the filter was added, and Vanessa made a shining appearance. Each video has a high number of likes. The comments are all about our Vanessa doing charity and being kind, and criticizing the school for abusing disabled children. Because each video of Vanessa is located, netizens locked on Mia's special education school and spread rumors about the school everywhere on the internet. Mia was about to collapse. She wanted to establish a persona and earn traffic, but she shouldn't use children as tools. The children in the video didn't want candy at all, but tranquilizer pills. The childcare teacher didn't let the children eat them because she was afraid that the children would become dependent on them. She gave each child one. Ethan explained, Vanessa has just started working for a short time, maybe she just doesn't know. Besides, if you really have a clear conscience towards the students in the school, why should you be afraid of her taking pictures? Mia was so angry that she laughed. You are such a good person, a saint who is as calm as a chrysanthemum and innocent. I don't care. Now so many people are cyberbullying me because of her. I must get her out. Ethan looked at me, wanting me to speak for Vanessa. For a son-in-law, making my best friend angry? What a joke. I shrugged. Mia doesn't like her, what can I do? Ethan was furious. You rich people, ordinary people are like objects in your hands. You attract them if you like them, and kick them away if you don't like them? He was empathized again. After Ethan left, Mia said, You have touched the Phoenix man's meager self-esteem again. Are you sensitive in your daily life? I was amused by her description, almost the same, but I am particularly sensitive recently. If I didn't like his face so much, I wouldn't let him marry into my family. But I think his face has changed recently, and he is not interesting anymore. Chapter 7. Mia fired Vanessa from the special education school. Ethan and I had a cold war for a few days because of this. When the company needed to approve the accounts, he called me to come over. I walked into the company and found that Ethan had hired a new batch of people. Yes, only new employees don't know his identity as a son-in-law. When I walked to the door, a female employee suddenly stopped me and said, Excuse me, do you have an appointment? I didn't expect that after not coming to the company for a few months, Ethan started to put on airs and make an appointment. No. I said. The female employee immediately showed disdain. Vanessa's secretary said that you can't see Ethan boss without an appointment. Vanessa's secretary? I thought of something and said, then contact Vanessa for me. Unexpectedly, the female employee laughed out loud. Sister, who do you think you are? You don't really think that Vanessa is just the secretary of boss Ethan? I raised my eyebrows. What else? Humph, except for boss Ethan, the whole company is controlled by Vanessa. What do you think? I found out after learning about it. The whole company has already assumed that Vanessa and Ethan are in an ambiguous relationship, and Vanessa is the hostess. I smiled faintly, then kicked the sensor glass door to pieces. I stepped on the broken glass and walked in. The female employee was shocked and frightened and hurriedly called someone. Hurry up and call Vanessa, saying that a woman is here to make trouble. Maybe it's one of the pursuers who always pester me. Vanessa came over in a professional suit and high heels. She didn't tell everyone my identity, nor did she notify Ethan. Instead, she sighed and acted like she was familiar with this kind of thing, making people mistakenly think that I was really Ethan's bad luck. This is a workplace. It's not good for Hingyun if you make a scene and act unreasonably here. I sat upright. Hingyun? What does it have to do with you, a little secretary? It's not like we won't pay you. The staff around me all looked at me with contempt and said angrily, Where did this arrogant woman come from? Vanessa might be the boss of Hingyun in the future. What does it have to do with her? She is the least important person. It's just like the vicious female supporting role in the domineering boss novel, who makes things difficult for the little secretary heroine and finally waits to be slapped in the face. I took a magazine and read it, saying, Let Ethan come down to see me. I don't know where Vanessa got the confidence from. She coldly refused. Sorry, boss Ethan is meeting with shareholders, no one can go up. The voices of contempt from the people around me became louder and louder. Who does she think she is, calling Ethan boss's name? You don't know what you can do. I looked up and exchanged glances with Vanessa. Why, are we going to waste time here? Vanessa said nothing, obviously intending to go head-to-head with me. Okay. I took out my phone and directly at all members in the shareholder group without Ethan. The meeting place is changed to the reception room on the first floor. In less than 2 minutes, more than 20 shareholders came to the first floor, which scared the junior staff. Tina, why are you on the first floor? Let us listen to Ethan's useless talk on the 18th floor. I smiled and asked the shareholders to sit down, and said lightly, Let's talk about the project here. The onlookers were completely dumbfounded. They didn't dare to breathe when they saw the big shareholders who usually didn't dare to look at me nodding and bowing to me, and then calling Ethan by name. The junior staff pulled Vanessa's sleeve. Vanessa, Tina. The founder of Hingyun is surnamed Chiao, so she is. Before Vanessa could speak, I heard someone coming down the stairwell panting, "Wife, I'm sorry, I remembered the wrong place." Ethan was very embarrassed, and moved a chair to sit at my feet like a quail. I said gently, "I remember correctly. I just changed the address in the shareholder group. Otherwise, your employees wouldn't let me go upstairs." Chapter 8. After the meeting, I looked at Vanessa squatting on the floor cleaning up the reception room and said to Ethan, "You'd better let her marry your uncle and become Mrs. You as soon as possible instead of letting her suffer by your side." Ethan looked embarrassed and said after a while, "A working woman like Vanessa would definitely not be willing to marry and have children early. Is she reluctant?" I smiled and said, "Go ask her if she wants to continue to be a secretary or be Mrs. You. She will definitely choose the latter." To confirm my statement, Ethan actually walked into the reception room and asked. When Vanessa heard Mrs. You, I clearly saw a strong light bursting out of her eyes. Ethan frowned and asked in confusion, "Are you going to give up the dream you have been working hard for so many years for the identity of Mrs. You?" Vanessa was already immersed in the happiness of fantasy. "What's the dream?" "Only by marrying into the You family can I be with you forever." Ethan always felt that something was wrong with Vanessa's words, but still said, "Then you prepare in the next few days, I will go to your house to propose marriage." When Vanessa came out of the meeting room, she smiled at me arrogantly. During dinner in the evening, my mother-in-law mentioned intentionally or unintentionally that she wanted to buy a wedding house for my brother-in-law. The meaning was very clear, asking me as a sister-in-law to express that it would be best to help my brother-in-law buy a house directly. My eyes moved slightly. Why not? Just live in the villa directly, it will be lively when the family is together. Both my mother-in-law and Ethan were overjoyed. Such a big villa, although it is my house, but if all the You family members live in it, isn't it no different from their own home? In the future, the house will be passed down to the descendants of the You family, right? Before the engagement ceremony, my mother-in-law and I suggested that since my brother-in-law was in poor health and could not meet so many people, it would be better to let Ethan, his brother, come on his behalf. My mother-in-law was so happy to see that I did not mind such a thing. I sat in front of the surveillance camera and watched the engagement ceremony in the villa, and I was already looking forward to the big show tonight. On the night of the engagement, my mother-in-law let Vanessa live in the villa, holding her hand and said, "We are already engaged, so it's okay to live in the same room. You can sleep with my son tonight." Vanessa's face was red, and she was pulled by her mother-in-law into her brother-in-law's room. In the surveillance camera, Vanessa shouted Ethan's name in the dark, but was hugged by her brother-in-law who was hiding behind the door. This feeling was very different from Ethan's cold appearance on weekdays. Vanessa scolded, "Ethan, why were you so cold at the engagement ceremony? Now you are so enthusiastic." The brother-in-law did not answer, but continued to hug her and kiss her. The following scene was too painful for me to watch, so I simply turned off the screen. The next morning, my brother-in-law was no longer on the surveillance camera. Vanessa woke up alone from the big bed and called out, "Ethan? Where are you?" My brother-in-law heard the sound and pushed the door open. Vanessa screamed and covered her body with a quilt. "Oh, it's Ryan. Tell my sister-in-law, where is your brother?" Chapter 9. If my brother-in-law had a normal IQ, he would have realized that something was wrong with his words. But he is a fool. My brother-in-law stammered, "Brother is having breakfast outside. Vanessa, do you want to eat?" Vanessa's face suddenly showed sweetness. After pushing my brother-in-law out, she changed into a red home dress and walked to the restaurant on the first floor. I had already sat at the main seat at the table. When Vanessa came down the stairs and saw me, her face changed and she screamed for the second time this morning, You, why are you still here?" My mother-in-law covered her chest and frowned, "What are you shouting for?" "I'm about to have a heart attack." "Where's Ryan? Why didn't you come down with him?" Vanessa almost lost her ability to speak. My brother-in-law. My brother-in-law? Mother-in-law's eyes widened, "That's your husband." At this moment, my brother-in-law came down from upstairs and hugged Vanessa like an octopus. "Vanessa, I'm here." Vanessa was so scared that she dodged. "Uncle, what are you doing?" Vanessa was chased and hid behind Ethan, grabbing Ethan's shirt and trembling. "Husband, it was my uncle who hugged me on purpose, you quickly protect me." Ethan shook off Vanessa as if he was scalded. "Sister-in-law, you recognized the wrong person, let go quickly." I spoke at the right time. "Yes, sister-in-law, did you not sleep well with my uncle last night and are you in a trance?" At this time, Vanessa suddenly realized that something was wrong. Vanessa was shocked. "Ethan, what's going on? Didn't you want me to be Mrs. You? Why do you call me sister-in-law? And mother-in-law, didn't you want me to be your daughter-in-law?" Ethan was puzzled. "You are Mrs. You now. When I asked you if you wanted to be Mrs. You, didn't you agree?" Mother-in-law slapped her thigh. "What are you talking about, Vanessa? I asked you to be my daughter-in-law just to marry Ryan. Ethan is married, how could I let you two get together?" Vanessa completely collapsed. Who wants to marry a fool? This made the mother-in-law unhappy. She dared to say that her precious son was a fool. She picked up the spoon in her hand and smashed it on Vanessa's head. Bad mother, don't bully Vanessa's wife. Unexpectedly, the uncle protected Vanessa so tightly that he even fought with his own mother. Ethan couldn't bear to see the mother and son turn against each other, so he hurriedly joined the battle. I sat at the dining table shaking the red wine glass and took a relaxed bite of the bagel. The villa was in a mess. My brother-in-law was like a mad dog, biting off a piece of flesh from my mother-in-law's arm. Ethan smashed a red wine bottle on his forehead to teach him a lesson. My mother-in-law felt sorry for her brother-in-law and slapped Ethan several times. When the police came, the ground was covered with blood and broken glass. I took the initiative to provide the surveillance of the villa. Finally, the police determined that the three people had caused serious harm to each other. Everyone had to stay in jail for a few days. Considering that my brother-in-law had a brain problem, he could be exempted from punishment. A month later, I heard that my mother-in-law had tetanus because of the bite, and because she didn't clean it in time, her arm was ulcerated to half. When I went to visit Ethan, he begged me to bail him out as if he had grabbed a life-saving straw. But I directly handed over a divorce agreement. Ethan looked at me in disbelief. Why? I smiled. People who have been in prison cannot take the civil service exam for 3 generations. I don't want the father of my future children to be a tainted person. I heard that after Vanessa was released, she started to be a charity blogger again. But Mia soon came out to expose her for giving children tranquilizers, and then released a video of her forcing students to pose in the classroom. Vanessa was finally backlashed by netizens to the point of social death, and she cancelled her account and returned to her hometown. End of story.